Hey everyone, welcome back to She's Crafty Paperworks. If you're new here, I'm Jen, and today we're deviating from our normal card making to focusing on some treat boxes. I was planning on making 3 treat boxes using this Halloween set. And my first one, I used some Idea-ology products, but that got me thinking, what if I really leaned in and brought in some of my 3-dimensional Idea-ology products that I don't get a chance to use with my normal card making? So stick around and see what I came up with. Okay, let's start right here with the base for the house. And this comes from scrapbook.com, but any treat box set that you have, whether you make that yourself or you use a die set from another company, the idea is to use products that we typically don't get to use in our card making. To make this house, you cut this 2 times and you just glue right here at the tab and then at the base. And originally I was going to make 3 houses using the Halloween set that also comes from scrapbook.com. They have a couple different ones. They also have a Christmas one, I believe, like a spring one. But I was using Idea-ology products. And for this right here, for the roof, I cut this out using the metallic cardstock, and I'll pop that up right here on the screen. And the beauty of this particular product is that you use the sanding disc and you just go through and it reveals a silver underneath. So I went through and I distressed all of the little black that I used for the pieces. And then another thing that I did in making this, I used the transparency with the shattered glass for all of the windows. And then for the front door. And I also used a piece of ephemera from, actually, I take that back. This isn't a piece of ephemera. This is actually one of the large collage strips, and I used that. I actually used another piece of a collage strip in one of the windows for another house that I made. It was the perfect size to fit into the windows. Then I decided, well, if I'm going to bring in my Idea-ology products, why not put a little pumpkin? And if you're familiar with the pumpkins, they don't have a stem on them. So I just created my own stem using a piece of green cardstock. And I just rolled that up, cut some slits at the base, and then that was enough of a base for me to glue the stem on. As I mentioned earlier, it was this treat box and kind of bringing in some of my Idea-ology products that inspired me to really lean in and take the other 2 treat boxes into another level with my Idea-ology products. And that's because I just don't get a chance to do it very often, especially with card making, where the bulk of these items, every now and then I do push the limits, but just not nearly enough as I would like to. Occasionally I make decor pieces with my Idea-ology products. The last time I did that was with this, I don't even know what to call it. Is it a decor piece? Is it a book? I don't know what it is. But it was just something that I put together using a lot of my Idea-ology products that have a lot of dimension to it, and it stands up. As you can see, it lights up on this vignette box here, but also on the inside. And if you want to see this, I will go through this at the end of the video just to give you a chance if you want to have some kind of inspiration for whether it's a card or to do your own little book thingy just to have some fun with it because it was a lot of fun going through and making this. To get going with the treat boxes, I thought I would start with showing you how I did the two bases, and then we would go from there in how I decorated them. Now, both bases used the black craft cardstock. And for the first one, what I did was use crackle paste. And I just used a distressed crackle stencil from my stash. After I distressed the craft cardstock with a sanding disc, I went through and I was very kind of nonchalant about this because my panel was smaller than the width of my base. I just did a, like I said, very casual pasting of this. So I wasn't really worried about the corners. So I slapped this on, and the biggest problem was waiting for it to dry. So as you can see in the footage that I started with, I had a fan blowing on it for about an hour before I could really work on that box. For the second box, I chose to cover it in my Tim Holtz fabric. I really like how this came together. With this, I didn't use any kind of perfect cuts or anything like that. I just eyeballed it. All right, let's start with this house. And this is the one that has the crackle finish. And I started with adding these two boys, and they're sitting upright on the box. And I just slightly bent their legs, and so they're glued from here down. And then I added the mask stickers from the sticker book. There's creepy cloth on each side that's kind of carrying over, and I have a skull and 3 candles with some reindeer moss that I just got picked up from the craft store. And let's go this way. And this right here, this is the creepy cloth, and I just glued that down and then glued her on top with the spider. The spider I covered with a Sharpie, and you could use an alcohol marker because a Sharpie is an alcohol marker, but this was colored, the white here, I rubbed that with Picket Fence Distress ink. And I just used my finger to do that, just to kind of put it on top to kind of smear it around and just lightly so it stayed on the top part. And then I used throughout the box, you'll see that there's some distress texture paste in the black that is kind of muddying everything up, and it's on the moss and it's on the creepy cloth and a little bit on the where it says the found objects on the metal piece. And there's also the brown here is Vintage Photo Distress Oxide. Actually, I take that back. It's Distress ink. And this is just a piece from the baseboard collection. And this, I did not have any baseboard window frames that were small enough. So I put a copious amount of texture paste at the bottom here. This is a window that I cut in half. And so by putting on the texture paste it heavily around, it disguises the fact that this part right here is shorter or smaller than the rest of the frame. And this has a transparency, the shattered transparency on top of a collage strip photo that also has the skull sticker from the sticker book. For this side, I have a lot of texture paste doing some distressing of the gravestone as well as the skeleton, and also the gravekeeper baseboard. I'm also bringing in some more of that creepy cloth, but I love how this turned out. I dimmed the lights for a second just so we could see the cauldron lit up. And this is done by, let's see if I can. What I have here is a balloon light. And Tim Holtz has talked about this on his channel before. If you're doing the Simon Says stamp thing with the vignette box, you probably have one of these. Let me go ahead and turn it off real quick. And you can get these from Amazon, and they're just a little light, and they last a long time. The ones that blink do not. They only last gosh, not even a night. But if you have one that stays solid, they will last about 24 to 48 hours. And then after that, they'll have a very dim light, but they'll still be lit. So if you use them as lights for street lights in some of your like villages or something like that, they're very effective. Like some people use them for Lego lights, but and they're great for that because they'll last a week in that regard. I like to use them just for a couple of hours, and then I just put the tag back in them, and they will last quite a while for my purposes. But I'll turn this back on, and this right here are just bubbles that I glued together, and then I covered in green alcohol ink. I'll put that in the cauldron and then put this right on top. We get the effect. I don't glue them in because I want to be able to turn them on and off. For the purposes of the rest, showing you the rest of the box, I'm going to go ahead and remove these. So the thing about this box that stands out and I absolutely love about this box is the fringe. This is the 2025 fringe from Idea-ology, and I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I love how it turns to the black and orange when you scrunch it up. And if you've never used the fringe before, I'm going to show you how to use it. It really is as easy as kind of scrunching it up and then rolling it into a ball. And as you roll it into the ball, it starts to release. And then you can open it up. And I did this for 4 strips for each side of the roof. Now for the front of this box, I also use a baseboard sign, and I use a baseboard tag that says the dead of night that I cut up. But I also removed several layers of the dead of night so it didn't stick up. It still has some thickness to it, but not as thick as it would if I kept it as the full baseboard. This is one of the original skulls, and it's much bigger than the 2025 skulls. The 2025 skulls are much smaller, which I actually like because I can get this on a card. I could not get these on a card, but these I can get on a card because they have a flat back, and if I use a bubble mailer, this really isn't that much thicker than some of the different half beads that I use. And I have this attached a little bit at the bottom, but I just used collage medium and I attached it at the side of the house. But the base here is just a piece of the packaging. And to disguise it, I just went along with a black Sharpie and took away any kind of white from the side. But super easy. And so let's start on this side. And so for this one, I use the Bat Transparency. He has a mask on, and I use a little bit of fringe yarn to attach a spider that I also covered with a Sharpie. This has another baseboard that I distress. This has some texture paste with it. So does the gravestone. I have 2 candles on either side, and I have another of the skull and crossbone metal pieces that I attached with collage medium. And again, more texture paste. And then she is attached with a sticker witch's hat. And then I did a collage medium to attach the bone. And there you go, 3 treat boxes, 1 on the more traditional side and 2 that use a lot of the Idea-ology products that we as Tim Holtz fans love to collect, and as card makers, we don't get a lot of chances to use. And I have to tell you, these were a lot of fun to make. And yes, as treat boxes go, they are a little extra, but I think that they'll be keepsakes. We tend to recycle gift boxes anyway and keep them going for as long as they'll last. And I think that this will be 2 more that stay in the rotation. I just love that they get to use products that otherwise sit in a drawer that I love to buy, but again, don't get a chance to use very often. And you tell me, what do you think? Are you inspired to use some of your Tim Holtz Idea-ology products and use them in a kind of unconventional way? Or is this a little too over the top for you? All right, I said I would go through this make with you. And so the first thing I wanted to do is kind of show you where the light is. It's hidden behind this skull or actually I should say underneath the skull and these bones and reindeer molds. And I just take, I can do it with my nails sometimes. Maybe with my nails being a little bit longer, I can get this turned on. Well, let's just do it with. I do believe I've shown this on my channel before. It would have been last year, but I cannot find the video, so maybe I didn't. It's possible that I just think that I did. But with this make, I attached a vignette box. This is an Idea-ology vignette box. I have pumpkin feet, and this is a Idea-ology baseboard window frame. And inside, I've placed, forget which season she came from, which package she came from, but she's in a lot of the Halloween ones. And I have her holding a bat, and this is, I'm getting a little bit of a reflection, but this is the tunnel background. And then I put little curtains behind there. And then this is a charm. The skeleton is a little charm and it dangles. On the side here, I have a witch's broom that I kind of fringed up here. And all through this is texture paste in the clear translucent. And I just use some ink and a little bit of a scuffing to kind of give it a little bit of texture on the side. And you can see here, there's the binding is a fabric from Tim Holtz. And let's go to the first page. And here's another baseboard frame. And these are chipboards I picked up from Amazon, and they're very sturdy, and that's why I like them, because it gives me a strong base to be able to hold all of the weight that I'm attaching with the dimensional objects. And this is just a transparency, and what I've done is just essentially created a shaker window. Couple other little things with this. There's some grit paste in here that it's kind of throughout that I used with my Distress oxides and my Distress inks to colorize. A little bit of moss here and there. Now there are going to be some things that in this make that aren't ideology, and I had mixed some of my things with another ephemera pack, and this is one of those where I don't think that it's ideology. I think it's actually from that other ephemera pack that I had picked up from Joann's a few years ago. Now this, you can clearly see I have hot glue. This is after lots of frustration of not getting the bats to stay. So I just gave up and glued them down with hot glue, and then just called it a day. And they've stayed put. Everything else is done with collage medium though. This is also, you can see some texture paste in here with the black texture paste. This is mummy cloth that I kind of spread out to make more like a spider web. For this page right here, this is mostly collaging. This is fabric from Joann's, and this is some of the flowers that I dyed black. And this right here is one of the glass bubbles that I just put underneath it, some of the ephemera that says shake well before using, and put it, the glass bubble, in one of the little vials. And I'll be honest with you, in order to get it to fit, I had to break it off a little bit here in the back. I don't recommend that if you're not good or comfortable cutting up the glass. I was comfortable in making the cut, and I, like I said, just made the cut to kind of shove that bead in there, and then I hot glued the cork in there so that there would be no getting cut, and the sharp edge is facing downward. This is texture paste all the way around here, the spider. This, I made a tag. And here's a little skeleton from a broken Halloween decoration. Again, these are not ideology. One of the witch's brooms. This is not ideology either. It's a little charm, and I just broke off the little loop so it looked like a brooch. This is ideology paper though, cardstock. And for this one, this is the Raven, and it's one of the stories that I like to read every year, and so I included that in here. And it's just kind of a neat thing to add to this kind of Halloween thing. But you can see I also have texture paste scattered about. I put a little book here, and again, a mix of ideology and this like an ideology frame that I distressed with texture paste, some candles, but I have moss and I some of these images, and things are things that I picked up from other types of ephemera packs. And then for the back, I included this, which is, let's see, let's put it down, it's a little bit easier. Oh, there we go. There's a little mushroom and a pumpkin. But just a hodgepodge of some of my ideology collection. And as I said, lots of fun to put together. All right, everyone, thank you so much for sticking around. And if you made it this far, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. And tell me in the comments, what are you doing with your ideology products? I'd love to know. Take care. Bye.